There are so many things I felt like that drew from noir films that were instigated in like the cinematography in this.
There's symmetry. Everything has symmetry. If you noticed that, like the couches and the chairs that all had the flourishes and everything
Yeah.
on them, everything was very symmetrical.
Yeah.
It was clean. And it stands in stark contrast to those scenes in the bar, because a lot of times when we're done at one of those scenes where she was at a bar, she was with someone, we come back to this place that has this symmetry. Well, hey, Gretchen, how are you?
Good. I
Good.
mean, feel good movie of the century we're watching.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough one. So, yeah, this will be a little bit different than our other discussions. This one's going to be a little more serious and somber. But for folks that are new and tuning in for the first time or finally checking us out, this is the Check the Gate podcast where Gretchen and Martin get together and watch a movie and we start to discuss it. And then wherever the conversation goes is where the conversation goes. We could talk about this film, or we could talk about other films associated or what it reminded us of, or politics and religion and other things that could come about with this. And today, Promising Young Woman is probably going to generate some conversation with us.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Hang in there, everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess as a disclaimer, since this was my film and my choice, I can say that this does deal with SA, sexual assault. This will deal with those topics. And if you haven't seen the film, that does give some of this away, but you should know that that's a major part of what happens in the film that's revealed later, and some association with things similar to revenge porn. So it's very important that you know going into this discussion as well as going into watching the film. So with that, yeah. So I will admit I have seen this film multiple times.
It's my first time.
And I've seen this film and discussed this film with women before, but my experience yesterday was different with you, if that's okay to mention.
Sure.
Yeah, and I felt actually really bad, and I had felt that maybe to a certain degree I had stressed our friendship a little bit.
No.
Well, because I don't know that that's necessarily fair to have had something like that. And I have to remind myself that a film like this that has these kind of topics, even though I have had things happen to me in my life, in that it's not the same as when is what society does with women and how women are treated. So I needed to be maybe a little bit more sensitive about how we went into watching this film, or talking about it a little bit more. I'm not sure.
I think that the big takeaway from it, I mean, I'm going to say that term a lot. I feel like there's lots of takeaways from this film, but like for me, what was so raw in the moment was just like how there was no good ending. Like this is a tragedy and multiple tragedies. And I think that's what kind of hit home for me, is that there was no resolution. I mean, there was some righteous vindication. So there was some like justice in this very small like drop in the pond of experience. But I think that the overall it was a very like unhappy and not feel good movie of the year. And no wonder I skipped it. It was 2020 when this film came out. So it was buried in COVID in general. So, I think I was just like, at that time I'm just going to watch like uplifting or like really ridiculous horror films, but nothing like nihilistic and just as dark and sad as this was.
Yeah. Yeah. It's... Do you feel that this movie, as you watch it, and we'll kind of dig into it more, but we're still kind of going in some broad strokes here, is this a movie that up until the reveal of what really happened with everyone to its full extent. Was this a movie that, while a drama, was it easier to watch until we kind of found out the extent of what had happened in the past, and then did that turn a corner for you and go, this is so much deeper and darker?
No,
than
because
I had
she's
intended.
broken from the beginning, and that is quick
Yeah.
to pick up on I mean, I think the only thing that I was expecting that I didn't see happen, which I was surprised that she wasn't a serial killer. So I thought I thought it was going to be like an American Mary kind of scenario where she's like a serial killer, but it ends up being like more like she is just putting spotlights on people. And I think that, gosh, I think that it's shows, I don't know how to put, you can edit that for me. The only turn that there wasn't any surprise turns for me. Except for the fact that I was anticipating her being a serial killer, because I was like, oh, well, clearly she's so broken that now she's a serial killer, but not so much. More just highlighting these people's mistakes, and also putting a spotlight on situations where men were able to take advantage of women. I think other than that, there wasn't any surprises in that. And once the story unfolded, what I think was what hit so hard was just that it was just such a tragedy that there was two lives lost, and that there was, this poor girl's family, not finding out until the very end.
Yeah. Well, I don't think there are mistakes. I think it's a film of choices.
Sure.
And I think since we've kind of like bounced around and kind of mentioned the tragedy of the end a little bit, we can kind of dig in a little bit more on the film. And as we do this too, I'm fine with us diverting from the topic matter and talking more about the technical execution and performances and steering away from anything else that might make the conversation uncomfortable, if you want. So whatever. Yeah, I'm happy to do that, because so from a technical aspect, I do
Beautiful.
love this film. It is a gorgeously, amazingly executed film. It is absolutely amazing. And well, can we talk about the performances first? Is that
sure.
okay?
I'd love to.
Because I think these are absolutely amazing. So Carry Mulligan stars in this film. She is our protagonist that we're following through all of this stuff. And I've known who Carry Mulligan is for a long time. I've seen films with Carry Mulligan. She's always been really great. But this film, for me, made Carry Mulligan become that one of those actors where I'm like, give him everything, give him anything. I have a few actors that are like that, where I think that they should just be able to get every role in any role that they want. And Viola Davis, one of those actors. It's like, if Viola Davis wants it, she just should get it. So Carry Mulligan's performance in this is so good.
Everybody. I feel like there wasn't a single person that didn't feel believable. Everybody felt like themselves. I mean, even seeing like Jennifer Coolidge and Clancy Brown like being these like parents, like playing Carey Mulligan's character's parents, they even felt real to me too, because they felt like parents that are trying to relate to their child who has gone through a trauma, and they are trying to be sensitive, but also being like, you're 30, it's a long time coming, move out.
Yeah.
Like her birthday gift, being the suitcase. I thought that was...
We want you to be able to travel and leave the house.
Have fun.
Yeah. Well, and so I'm a huge Connie Britton fan.
Yeah.
I think Connie Britton first, for me, came in Spin City is the first time that she was ever in anything that I can remember recognizably. She ended up being in the... first season of American Horror Story. She was also as the dean of the college. Yeah, she's
great.
She's great.
Everybody felt like a person. Like,
Yes.
you know how sometimes you see a film and you're like, these characters are so obtuse or they're so ridiculously like parodied of a person that they don't feel very like relatable. Everybody in this felt relatable. Everybody felt, I mean, you've met these guys at the bar. You've seen these frat brothers that act like this. These are all things that are very, unfortunately, very like spot on.
Yeah. Yeah. And the setup and the premise with the world that they live into is very realistic. And that being that we're with Carey Mulligan's character, who is still grieving the loss of a friend, Nina, which we learn about, and we learn about that she is in her grieving process. We don't necessarily know how long it's been, but it's been long enough that there were a group of people who were in college together, and her best friend, Nina, has taken her life. Which we learn eventually, but we know that she's at a minimum, she was lost in some way, that she was no longer with them. And Carey had been grieving her for quite a while.
Yeah, she's I can relate, the overly educated barista.
Yeah, exactly. And she is working in a place where she can hide.
Yes.
And she's got some comfort with her boss.
Who's Laverne Cox. Who is great in this.
Yeah.
I've only seen her in, Orange is the New Black.
Yes.
So I didn't really have much experience with her other than that. But seeing her in this was just her just being her. She just felt like a real, this is your boss who's really 100% your friend as well, and also wants good things for you.
Yeah.
So trying to promote her, because that was kind of like the first thing off the bat. She was not wanting to accept a promotion and like a raise and whatnot. She's like, I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah. She wants to live in her grief.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to escape
She's consumed
that.
by it.
Yeah.
And I've met people like this that have never recovered from a loss like that. And it's sad to see somebody that will never rise past that or able to heal from that.
Yeah. And immediately, to the extent that I can, I feel for Carey and her grief. And I mean, I was in for the ride with her, not just her performance, but and all the characters around. Again, I'm a huge Clancy Brown fan. I mean, I'm a guy of the Highlander world in the 80s, and fell in love with him as the Kurgan. So Clancy Brown is kind of one of those things where if I see him in the list of character actors that are going to be in something, it's like, oh, I know I'm going to love this because Clancy Brown's in it. And Jennifer Coolidge, who is just so wonderful.
And she wasn't her normal, ridiculousness. She wasn't her normal. She was a mother who was out of touch, but also still was trying so hard to relate to her daughter and trying to help her heal.
Yeah.
And trying to kind of nudge her out the nest. Yeah.
She's not playing the character that a lot of people like to stare. She's got two stereotypical characters, I feel. There is the older mom that's lusted after in American Pie.
Yeah.
And then there is kind of the sort of ditzy, out of touch person that really started with her being in Best in Show.
Yeah.
And then kind of perpetuated
her Gentleman Broncos mom.
Things.
She was very ridiculous.
Yeah.
But
she's great in Legally Blonde.
Yeah.
Because I don't feel she's klutzy as a character, but she's not a ditzy, out of touch person. She's really
as a klutzy person.
And that's an easy thing to relate to. And so so in Legally Blonde, she was really great. As a person that we could kind of cheer for while we're cheering on Elle. So, she just always does such a great job. I haven't watched The White Lotus.
I haven't either. It's on my list.
Yep.
I'm in the middle of festival season right now.
It is. Portland Horror's got you.
Portland Horror got me. I just got back from Crypticon. I am so busy.
Yeah. And it's a lot of movies for you too, coupled with the other show that you do, Gwen and Gretchen Watch Movies.
Yeah.
You're watching shows for the Portland Horror Festival. Crypticon was all movies. And then you and I are watching movies. And, our next episode's going to be an interesting one that we'll briefly talk about when we go to record that one.
True.
So, yeah, so it's a lot. So on top of a lot of the things that you have in life, and then I get you a heavy film.
No,
to
it's
get
okay.
through.
No, but honestly, I really liked this. No, actually, I'm not gonna say that. I didn't like it. I thought there were things about it that I loved. Like the characters, the actors.
It's a well executed film.
Well executed film. There's some shots that are just breathtaking, and one of them, after kind of sleeping on it, I thought about. There's a scene where, and I feel like. If people are watching this, please, I'm so sorry. I'm going to ruin the heck out of this film because we're going to talk about it.
We're going to talk about it, so just know that.
It reminds me of the movie Brick. Mm-hmm. Do you remember that movie?
Yeah, absolutely.
There was something about, I think that was the foreboding nature of this film that reminded me of Brick. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're not using the strange dialogue that they use in Brick to kind of like mimic that noir aspect, but there are so many things I felt like that drew from noir films that were instigated in like the cinematography in this. Mm-hmm. Like there's that opening scene where she's in the bar pretending to be drunk and sitting at a booth, like kind of slouch, the lighting falling on her, and the red backdrop has a very like almost giallo / noir kind of like aspect to it. Did you feel like that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Or am I just like drawing from?
No, because that's the rest of how this film then sets itself up and progresses through it. That not only are we with Carry Mulligan's character, who is been grieving their friend, but now what we're introduced to is how they're dealing with that grief in a quite what a therapist would probably call a very unhealthy way, and probably skirts a lot of legality issues, but she begins to create a tally of people that she's trying to learn a lesson to. And I say people, it's very specifically men, by setting herself up as bait in situations where she acts drunk. And then men go seemingly at first thinking that they're being a gentleman, thinking they're a good guy, thinking they're doing that. Well, they do think that to a little bit of a degree. They do try to tell themselves that. They're not accurate, and this really does. It steps into incel culture, and obviously there's the sexual assault aspect of all of this, but I'm not justifying them in any way, but these are men that do believe they are okay. They're good men, and they're not.
No.
And they think they're good men because the measure of that is that culture and society owes them something.
Right.
And the level of success that they have, even if they don't have much success, they measure what they have to a degree of success and believe that they are owed something or that they are responsible within all of that. So these are not good people, and they are not making good choices. And our culture is cluttered with them at every level. And she is essentially exposing them to themselves, showing them that they are not good men at all, no matter what they tell themselves. And this is literally that moment of, don't tell me what you say, show me what you do.
Right. Well, and I think that's like going out the gate. That's when I was like, oh, well, this film is this isn't going to be any joy at all. This is going to be a heart-wrenching slog through the entire film, because this is lady life. This is the life that most of women we live, that where we can't walk down the street without some fucking dude screaming out the window at them, or like, I mean, just because you open the door for me doesn't make you Jesus. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I mean, I love a good mannerful man, but like, this shows a really harsh truth about like living as a woman, going to bars. Like I have to go with friends because like I have to keep my head on a swivel.
Yeah.
I don't feel comfortable like going by myself to like have a drink or without, because I can't. I
Yeah.
literally have proven it. I can't.
Yeah.
And people be like, "Oh, that's so sad," or whatever. Like they would be mocking that 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 having that how to put having that. Some people would see that as a good thing, right? That you're like, that people find you attractive or whatever the case may be. But it's like, I don't think it really matters if you're attractive or not. I think it's more like all women live this life, and
Yeah.
all women experience this in one way or another, that you can't just be left alone. Like, just let me be alone. Let me have my drink by myself.
Yeah.
And that, I think that was like going out the gate. I was like, all right, this film is clearly not like, there is not going to be any joy to be had from this at all. Like,
Yeah.
there is no joy in this film at all. There are moments that are like, okay. But for the most part, this is a joyless watch. If that makes sense.
Well, it does, and I want to reiterate, it does too, as much as I can understand it.
Yeah.
Being who I am.
Yeah.
You know, there's only so much that I'm going to be able to understand.
Sure.
And while we're talking about all of this, and we've been friends now for, 13, 14 years, whatever
Yeah.
it is now, 15 years, I don't have the lived experience
Yeah.
that you have. No matter how close of a friendship we have out of any of this stuff, or any of the other women in my life, any of the relationships that are there, it'll never be a lived experience for me. So I'll only be able to understand so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's and
Well,
that's
there's-
demonstrated in this film too.
Right.
After her first kind of revenge move on Adam Scott, and she's kind of walking through satisfied, eating a sloppy Joe that's running down her arm and it's all over her shirt, and she's kind of, she's having her moment of walking away fairly satisfied and having this, and then she runs across the construction workers. And the first thing they start doing is catcalling and whistling and doing things. And it's almost like it's a showdown. It's like a showdown at high noon, because she literally stands there and she is broad to them and stares at them, and she's ready. Eating. And they get nervous and they get upset because they're not getting the expectation they want. They wanted the kind of diminutive or what, or they wanted a reaction, and instead they didn't get a reaction. They got a showdown.
Yeah. Because oftentimes if you say something back, it becomes a showdown. Like, I've had where I've been like, if someone will be like, as dumb as, "Oh, your hair," like I get a lot of, "I like your hair," because I mean, my hair is orange. It's very vibrant. I know.
I don't even notice.
You don't notice my hair? Okay. I mean, I get it. Like, I think it's fucking amazing, but no. So like, I'll have people like, if I don't respond to the, "Oh, I really like your hair," if I don't go, "Oh, thank you," like they'll be like, "Oh, whatever," and I'm all like, okay.
Yeah.
So I like, there's that trained response of like, "Thanks," even though if it's like, you're like, "Do I care what they think?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
It plays out in the rest of that scene with the showdown with her,
Yeah.
because she doesn't react other than
Eating.
the stare down. Yep. It's a stare down for her. She's there. She's not really reacting. And they go through the whole entire script of everything from, "Oh, we're just catcalling. Oh, can't you take a joke? Hey, what's wrong with you? You fucking blah, blah, blah."
Oh yeah,
And
they
it's
call
just-
her like a slut or something like that.
and
I was
she's
like,
done the only thing this person has done is existed and walked through.
"That's
And
what I'm talking about."
I know that's what you're talking about, and I don't have the same
no.
kind of.
Don't catcall women.
There was a time in my life, never to that degree.
No,
but
of course not.
No, I think and I don't know who knows this from who's going to watch the show or from my past, but I grew up in a very conservative Lutheran, very rural, extremely isolated town, and I saw misogyny and that kind of culture on a regular basis.
Yeah.
I have a separation to a very large degree from my family because of my final decision to kind of separate myself from some of those things, actually trying to find some resolution from my childhood, and even trying to maybe even get a little bit of an apology or some kind of a reckoning for a lot of the things that I grew up and around. And I was always different than everybody else, but I still had a degree of that in me, because part of what I went through is I wanted to have the people in my community, and in particular the people of my family, love me. So there were certain things that I emulated because I thought that that was how you were supposed to carry yourself as a man, carry yourself around women. This is how you do certain things. And while that wasn't comfortable to me, I tried. And to be honest, those attempts to try to at least emulate it enough that I at least try to be enough that I was not recognizable as odd or different or a threat, it was noticeable to people that I was odd and different, and I was a threat. And so most of my existence, into my 20s, and having left that community and left those, and even then eventually the estrangement of my family, had actually labeled me as gay, homosexual. And in the 70s and 80s, in a rural Christian, conservative Lutheran community that also had conservative Mormonism and conservative Baptists, that was a death sentence. So I was just trying to at least not be noticed. So, and I am in no way trying to say that my lived experience going through those things are in any way similar to anything that you had, or anything that Carry Mulligan's character went through, other than to say men program this stuff in. And when you're young, it's very hard to realize, even when something is telling you that it's supposed to be different, but you don't know what different is because you're not seeing different.
Yeah.
Being gay was a sin. And when that's all you know and that's all you're taught, and you don't know anything else about it, and you literally don't have gay people around you who are engaging in a relationship between two consensual adults who happen to be of the same sex, you don't know what that is.
Right.
I didn't know what that was. So I want to believe that I was never as bad as any of those folks when it comes to like catcalling or things, but I know there were aspects of my life where I did things where I'm not happy about, how I was, because I was acting like all the other men around me.
You were ignorant and young, and it is what it is. Like you've obviously learned from that, and that's the thing where I think you and I were talking about that earlier. It's like,
and sorry, that was a little long. I apologize.
No, you're fine. But getting back to the film, I think that that was such a poignant moment of realizing this. She has, as broken as she is, she also has this cold strength to her. It's nothing that I would say should be emulated in any way, any fashion, but there is a strength to her. But it is not, I would say this is not an ideal situation of what she's doing. Her therapy, so to speak, is going out and showing the worst in people.
Yeah.
And showing that to themselves and putting a mirror up to that, or a spotlight, or whatever the case may be. That's why I was like, wow, this film is not good. I don't like it. But I like it, but I would never watch it again.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Well, in a way, it's almost, so you've already hinted at the ending, that the end is a very tragic one. It doesn't end on a happy note. I don't even say that it fully ends on a note of justice, because we can see the wheels starting to turn as we end. We'll talk about that a little bit, but knowing how our culture is and what happens with our judicial system, that is literally left up for grabs. We don't have a good conclusion out of all of these things. So there is an aspect before we get to that where it almost feels like there could be satisfaction out of what she's doing, because she is exposing these people. And it's very similar, like the people who send dick pics to women and what a lot on, on social media. And so now what a lot of what a lot of women have started to do is, I'm going to just look around on social media. And if your mom has a Facebook account, I'm going to send your messages to your mom, and I'm going to have your mom see just exactly what it is you're doing. Now these guys start freaking out and all that. But then the issue becomes, so this is that's like a satisfying process through there. And it's like, that's great. But then there is the worry of what about where you hit the wrong person finally? What happens when you get to that one triggered guy? And that is the reality of where we are, of how men then do react when they are called out for their bad behavior.
I don't want to spend too much time dwelling on the idea that it's like men are bad and like men are ugly and things like that, because I don't think that's the case. I think this movie does a good job of highlighting people that are bad people, and that's kind of what her. That's what she was baiting. Like, she was baiting these kind of people. These are the people that she wasn't baiting nice guys. She's baiting men that were terrible and like that felt entitled to a woman just because she was drunk or whatever the case be. Like, oh, that dumb slut. Like, I know this episode is probably going to get flagged and non-monetized, but as we talk about these subjects, but it is, the main topic of this film. I mean, it's the heaviest handed message, but the message is loud and clear. Don't be a rapist.
Yeah.
Don't be that guy. Don't feel entitled, you know. But again, like I said, I don't want to dwell too much on that, because I know there are a lot of great men out there. I mean, there are. You're one of them, of course. But like, I just think that there's this... I would hate for anybody to be like, this is a good man-hating movie, because it's not. That's not really the story.
It's not.
And, I mean, it's more about how freaking broken she is. And just watching somebody process this tragedy, and then not in a healthy way or a healthy way at all. Like, she just is, she's never going to recover.
Yeah.
And she's broke.
Yeah.
And it's sad. And then the way she chooses her prey is by being a like enfeebled fawn, so to speak, Yeah.
And so I'll admit that aside from today's episode, I want to be a part of a wider discussion about all of this, but I think it has to be with other men, and men that talk about things. Because you're saying, there are some great men. There are. We just need to do better, and we need to step up. And I want there to be more conversation from men saying that it's okay to do other stuff. And again, I don't mean to like keep that going with what you're saying, but I know if people want to reach out to me or talk to me, or if there is some way outside of today's episode where I can be participating better in a conversation.
I also feel like it's pretty far-fetched in some ways, right? Okay, so this may be a hot take on it, but like the baiting of these men, I feel like there would have been some man somebody would have stepped in and been like, "Hey, dude, you don't know her. She's really drunk. Let me take care of. Let me find another way, to take care of this woman and help her get home," or whatever the case. Because I just think that it's low hanging fruit to say like that this would be an easy bait, because I've seen this woman in the bar and seen her not get taken advantage of. Yeah. So I feel like that is something that isn't touched on that part of this message is very heavy handed, like,
yeah.
It
is.
It's a little far-fetched in that way, because I feel like the reality is, yes, that Ladyland is a hard land to live in, but for the most part, most men are just going to say something to me, and that's about it.
Yeah.
They're not going to, like, I've been drunk at the bar, but not by myself, but like my friend had gone off to the dance floor or whatever case, and I've had a guy come up to me and I'll be like, "I'm too drunk." And they're like, "All right, good night." It's seriously. So I've had that situation too. So I mean, like I said, this is a little, that part's a little far-fetched in the sense that she's constantly finding these victims enough to that it fills pages of this book.
Yeah. Which is the other aspect. We hadn't talked about the fact that as she does this and goes through it, she's actually been keeping a diary,
a tally,
checking them off.
Yeah. But also, that's what made me hope that she was a serial killer. Because I was like, oh, well, she's keeping like a trophy, so to speak.
Yeah.
But
well, the first time when I first started to watch it, even when she checked it off in the book, I kind of was like, did she? And I kept waiting for like the body of a person was discovered, playing on the radio in the background somewhere. But then that didn't happen. It was like, this is just...
They do like that red herring kind of thing where like when she's eating the like sloppy joe, there's like...
The red
It's running down her.
Yeah.
And it's like running on her shirt and it looks like blood and it's like on her leg and stuff. And I was like, whoa, what the heck? And then I realized it's actually the sandwich that's like leaking everywhere.
Right.
Instead of like she's gone off and murdered. So they definitely... lead us to believe at the very beginning. Right. Is that a red herring?
Yeah, well, it's a... I don't know that it's a red herring, but it's definitely playing into the symbolism, and they want you to believe that, but they let you off the hook pretty quickly. I think a red herring is meant to be a distraction all the way until it's too late.
Like the boyfriend?
Yeah. Him being a nice guy, Bo Burnham.
He's a nice guy.
Yeah. It's
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
He's a coward. I don't think that he's like a terrible person. I thought about that a lot. Because I thought, everybody in this is flawed, right? And that's kind of what we're showing here is the tragedy of people. And I think that there was an aspect that they really liked her. So I guess we should say. So she meets a guy, and he's from her past, and he was somebody that went to school with her, and he is like not being obtuse, but he really likes her a lot, and it's very, very sweet.
Yeah.
And I think that sometimes you forget when you've done something really bad, like, and you don't really like. If it's not directly affecting you, then it's easy to forget it.
Right.
Right. So I think that his involvement, as we've kind of later discover, is that he is one of the people that see or is a spectator to her friend's rape in front of a bunch of people. And he is not, he's going like, whoa, that's so intense. And he's like kind of laughing. And I think that like knowing like they were in their teens, 20s, early 20s.
It was medical school, so it was somewhere post bachelor's degree. So in their mid 20s, because she's not quite 30 yet.
Right, because your brain isn't your frontal lobe's not quite developed, and especially like men have a little like delayed in that response too. But like, I think that I'm not apologizing for this fella. I'm just saying that humans are flawed, and I don't think that he's a bad guy, because clearly as a surgeon working with children, he has compassion and care for people and for the want to make, because beyond money, it's like he seems to care about his job and care about her. So I think he's a coward and flawed, but I don't think he's a bad person.
So there's kind of two events, because they were having a big party. People were getting really drunk.
Yes.
They try to explain that several times, some of the other characters, about how there was big party and they'd all been drinking, and because they were all in the same cohort together, there were also people that were, mingling with each other back and forth, relationship wise, kind of sleeping with each other a little bit. So there were adult things that were happening inside of this area of being in your 20s and being a little wild and fun.
Absolutely.
And the way that it feels like it played out to me is that there was the situation where Nina, the friend, had gotten too drunk, and then this guy Al ends up taking advantage of her. He sexually assaults her. And
in front of everybody.
And what the way that plays out to me is that it's happening, and then they all like burst into the room because they don't expect it to be happening. And the buddy Joe has his phone and he's recording it, and they all go in there and they're like, "Oh, whoa, ha ha ha! Oh, what's he doing? Oh, I can't believe it!" But you know, so in that moment in the recording, they've done all of this, and because they're all drunk, no one's taking full accountability, and they're not fully assessing what the situation is.
Right. They don't realize that
anything.
she's too drunk to be in this situation.
Because they're all too drunk.
Exactly. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. He's not a bad guy.
Well, but it is in the fact that after the fact, there is a recording that they then all pass around to each other. And in that time of sobriety, this is where the true cowardice steps up, where nobody takes accountability for it. And when Nina tries to say, "Hey, I was sexually assaulted by this person," everyone's like, "Oh, well, we don't know what happened.
We'd hate to destroy a young man's career."
You know, it's an accusation and it's a he said, she said, but you know, really, how can anybody know when the whole time they all did know and they had the recording? So there is a moment where you can say, man, we all seriously screwed up and we were all so drunk and we weren't able to fully assess the situation, but then be able to go, yeah, that was screwed up. This is a bad dude. That was a bad thing. We have to do the right thing now. And that's where it really corrupts, when they have the ability to make something happen and the cowardice is so exposed in that because they were protecting themselves.
Absolutely.
And the institution of the school and their hopes for being doctors.
Absolutely.
More than they were trying to admit that there was that everything just got out of hand and it was really bad and someone did an unspeakable act. So yeah, it's deep cowardice. Absolute deep cowardice that had plenty of opportunities to be corrected, and the failing of a human is they just perpetuate it. They keep it going to the point where the two events feel so separate that when the reality comes together, when Carey Mulligan realizes that Bo Burnham was a part of all of this stuff and how this was all tied in with these friends, the person who had committed the sexual assault, Al, is now getting married to a bikini model, and all of these people are celebrating this person's life, and he is a new doctor, and the university completely dismisses the fact that he ever did anything. So he has a completely untarnished past with an excellent graduation grade. So it is the culmination of all of these things they end up becoming far too much for even her grief to be able to handle.
Oh, and she becomes completely unhinged. I mean, like she's already unhinged, but when we hit like second act, right, this is when we start to take vengeance on the people that have done us wrong. Exactly those. And the ones that were in the video or that were directly affected by the situation with her and Nina.
Yeah. Well, that's the third act.
Oh, that's third act. You're right. Because like we have the lunch that she has with her old friend. They get together.
Yes.
That is played out with she gets her and wasted and puts her in a scenario that has a feel like where she is taken advantage of by a man. She hires a guy. This is where I was like, no, I cannot get behind her at all. Like, I don't see this as good feminism in any way. Cause like I've read a lot of like reviews about this and they're like, it's feminist noir horror film. And I'm like, how, what? Wait, no, it's not feminist. I mean, there's no empowerment happening here. This is ugly and grief-stricken.
Well, she is empowering herself.
Is she?
But then what do you do with the power that you give? She is taking things into her own hands. That's
vigilantism.
Well,
that's not.
And I'm not defining it as feminism, but I am defining the empowerment of it. She is empowering herself.
Yeah.
But not in a positive way. I mean, she's creating a cudgel.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't think it's my place to define what is or isn't feminism and all of that. That would be very difficult for me to.
And
to
even
argue.
myself, I struggle with that. Like, because I'm a Gen Xer and, people like the feminism has evolved and changed and things like that. And so I think that it's, for me, I didn't feel like this For me, like I would say feminism would be more of an empowering thing and like a positive change, whereas this was all unhinged and negative, like mean and vigilanteist. Like or vigilantism. Yeah.
And I'm actually all behind it until we get into the third act. I from a fictional standpoint,
Yeah.
I mean, to a certain degree, it's the kind of thing you fantasize about, getting retribution on
That's
people
why
who
it's called revenge
did things.
porn.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, is this considered revenge porn? I mean, I consider hostile. Well, no, that's torture porn.
Yeah,
Different, so-
revenge porn. This is kind of the vibe because this is the titillation.
Revenge porn's when people release the videos of their partner after they've broken up to hurt them.
Right. But also like the revenge porn being like anytime that you have like a titillating, self-satisfying like vengeance aspect, because like I think that how that plays out is that with her setting up these 4 or 5 people for their just desserts, she is going into it with a knowledge like somewhere that she's killing herself.
She's not coming out of it.
She's planning on her demise.
Yeah.
And I think that is part of the porn aspect of it, because I think that people are like, oh yeah, like this is gratifying to watch her like get this vengeance and watch this play out. That's the revenge porn aspect.
Okay.
Because I think that people are searching for that gratification of like, kind of like, oh God, I want to use that French one because that kind of flips on itself. How about like the Liam Neeson one where like he's like, I have a certain set of skills, and yes.
Okay.
Like he gets his daughter back and that's the satisfaction, and he gets to take out all the bad guys. And John Wick is revenge porn. Like all of that stuff, like all that like give and take of something bad has happened to you and you get to take it out on everybody and get them back. That is is what I feel like revenge porn is.
So we can kind of talk about like that we can to talk about the third act. I think really the only part that I would want to talk about is the thing that gets us into the third act, and that's Alfred Molina's character. And then from there, we don't have to talk about the final scenes.
No, it's all right.
Yeah, we don't have to. It's we've already kind of hinted and talked about it. And spoiler alert: Carry Muligan dies.
Yeah,
she dies in setting it up, going after the guys that had killed Nina.
Yeah,
and it is
ugly.
It's ugly how it all happens.
And watching her be destroyed is what I think put me over the edge, where I was like, oh boy.
I'm going to leave it at this in the third act. I wouldn't mind talking about Alfred Molina's character a little bit, who was a lawyer, but this will be the last thing I say about the third act and how it goes. If there was ever a question anywhere in the film on the idea of any of the bad men saying, but I'm a nice guy, that final act is the one where it exposes the lie the most of anyone who has to continue to remind themselves or find ways of expressing themselves and having to get out there. I'm a nice guy, but not all men. If you are having to remind yourself or tell yourself that all the time when you are suddenly in a situation that you should have not been in, and you're having to express that to something, you're having to convince someone, you're probably convincing yourself. And I think that ending is just the most brutal, awful exposure of that lie. So I'll leave it at that.
The only thing that of her final vengeance against like each of the persons is I appreciate her going back to, there's two of them that I was like, girl, this is over the top. One being the daughter of the dean, like not cool. Like I thought that was terrible. And then on top of that, I mean, even though the little girl was safe, I thought it was terrible. Her apologizing to the woman, the female friend, what is that actress's name? from Glow. She apologizes to her. She goes, I'm really sorry.
Is that Allison Brie?
Yeah.
Yes.
She's like, I'm really sorry. That was incredibly mean-spirited. Nothing happened to you. Mm-hmm. But like making her feel like that, I get the point that she was trying to make. Again, like she's fucking unhinged. Mm-hmm. Like that is a terrible way to teach a lesson. And who are you to teach that lesson? And I think that's part of the story is like, again, this may be hot take because like I was like, wow, this is painful to watch. Mm-hmm. And then there's where one of the revenge that she takes is on the dean by basically compromising the dean's sense of security with her daughter by taking the daughter's cell phone and convincing the daughter that her favorite boy band was going to be there. Then telling the dean that she has left her daughter in a room full of young men that are the future of the institution of their college
in
the same room that Nina was raped in.
Yeah.
And she was like, how much do you think they are good guys now? Like, I just thought that was heavy-handed and vicious and despicable to make a mother feel like that. Like, how dare you? Like, I get it. Mm-hmm. Like, I get what you're trying to say. This may be the hottest take episode we've ever done, but I think that's okay for people to see that, like, even these kinds of films can have like there's discourse we can have about these kinds of films.
Yeah. Well, and so a lot of her revenge is setting people up and then putting them in a position where they're realizing that they're the bad person.
Sure.
Throughout all of that. And so a lot of this it's at the expense of them suddenly being in this situation and suddenly being caught. And that third act, it sucks to know that she has to sacrifice herself for that to be complete.
I don't think she sacrifices herself. She is going to kill herself. This is what she's anticipating, obviously,
but
by
that's
setting
a sacrifice.
Martyrism, I guess. Yeah.
She knows because, and I had mentioned I wanted to talk about the Alfred Molina character. Alfred Molina comes into this. She goes to kind of pay him back and has a setup for him. She essentially has a guy waiting outside that's going to go into the place and beat the fuck out of him.
Yeah.
But she goes in first to confront him, and he was on sabbatical and was having nervous breakdowns because his conscience had caught up to him, and he finally realized it. And he was the only person that said, yep, everything we did was wrong. And he said, I did it for the money. I did it for the safety of my career.
Oh, his omission, or his admission
yeah.
was when he said that even before the internet. So Alfred Molina's character is the lawyer that basically works for the institution, I think, or for the boys.
Yeah, he was hired by to get the boys off, to basically find dirt on Nina, to
and
do whatever.
Finds like a incriminating photo of her at a party that is her being drunk and basically making the jury go, well, this is a habit she has.
I guess she was asking for it.
But like he admits that he's done this multiple times, and like it's all kind of come to like head for him is that even before the internet, that he was going through women's trash to try to find like anything that would incriminate them for a jury.
Yeah.
This is the kind of like work that he did. And so I think that if anybody learned any lessons, he's the only one.
He was the redeemed character.
And he was the only one that was able to he was the only one that was really like felt without being needed to have it pointed out to him.
He felt the gravity. His conscience finally caught up to him. He analyzed the situation that he put him in. He realized that he had valued himself and his prosperity over the truth.
Oh, he even said, I made so much money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they did, because it gave him other cases. It gave them other clients. It's his turn at redemption that allows him to help her
set this up
after the end, because the end situation is one that is set up in which she is sacrificing herself. She's going in knowing she may not survive it. She doesn't survive it. And because she had sent information and the video to him, and she wasn't heard from in enough time where he said, now I know I need to send this off to the media and to the police, and this is what's going to get us to
And she
as much
timed-
resolution as we're going to have in this film.
Yeah, and she had timed her, had some time delayed text messages, which I thought that was pretty freaking cool.
Yeah.
Because I love when we're able to use technology that's current in films, because I feel like oftentimes we're like, something happens to the cell phones and nobody can use them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas this is like it plays out properly, and we see it all like unfold at this wedding, and the police show up, and they get out cadaver dogs and find her body, and there's all of the resolution happens.
Yeah.
But we don't see happens what afterwards, but we can only hope that
Yeah.
he went to prison for murdering her.
And probably
raping
that
the
would
other girl.
that would be the thing, is the only justice that would probably come about from it would be from the fact that they had murdered her and then tried to dispose of the body, as opposed to the original justice, which would have been the sexual assault of Nina.
Yeah.
And that's what it took for them to finally get justice out of any of this, for whatever it is that we don't get to see. You
Yeah.
know, we have the resolution of them being arrested. Yeah. So, this is a phenomenal film to look at. It's beautifully shot, beautifully edited, fantastic performances. It's an astounding film in a lot of aspects, but as you said, this would not be a thing you would watch again.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I derived zero pleasure from watching it.
Yeah.
And there's very few films in my life that I watch and I go, whew, all right. That being one of them. I mean, I've watched a few horror films that I was like, oh boy, I hate this.
Yeah.
And I mean, rape isn't always going to be a thing in a film that's going to make me go, oh, I'm never going to watch that film again.
Yeah.
Because it's like I recognize they're like not generational, that's not the right term. I recognize that there are like the things happen in other films, that rape was a plot device for a long time for a lot of films.
And we're going to get to that, actually. We've got a discussion about some stuff coming up. So,
Yeah, our next film discussion, unfortunately, has a rape in it, too.
yeah. So I apologize again for this being a
No.
tough one, because admittedly, and in realizing this, and I'm having to still learn too, that stuff is going to land with different people. And even though I've had this discussion and watched this film with other people and when talking about films, people go, oh my gosh, yeah, I have seen that film. I watched it a bunch of times and I love it. And they, they talk about it so much. It's a heavy film that doesn't end happy. And it's going to resonate very differently with people a lot of times.
Yeah.
And so that is something. So going forward, I will definitely be taking that kind of thing in mind. If I have ever, have you ever seen because you were talking about other films there, have you seen the film Martyrs?
Oh, yeah.
I have not seen Martyrs because I live in fear of that film. And I've been told that it is a very, very hard film to watch.
All right. I actually really like Martyrs, the original one. There's nobody gets raped.
Now, my understanding was that that's what it actually is that it is a film that deals with sexual assault. And
No.
No? Okay.
It's different.
Is it different? Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's been my fear. I have purposely not watched that film because I do not want to watch that.
There is a very, very terrible scene about a woman getting just the crap beat out of her in front of us. A lot of terrible things happen. A lot of torture happens, but
I don't know if I can watch
that. It's not titillating. It's not even meant to be titillating. It's meant for something else, and it's a very interesting story.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like a podcast one because everybody does Martyrs because I want that like Martyrs.
That
like,
shock value of it.
I would say it's a better film in some ways than this.
Yeah. I have a very difficult time. I've really come to this place where I have a very difficult time watching anything that has violence towards women because it's so easy. And this is going to come out for whatever local filmmakers there are too, because I know lots of local filmmakers making horror films, usually something of the serial killer nature, people that I'm friends with and actors, and I'll start to see a film and it's like, it's the fucking guy killing a woman on a date, like afterwards or something. And why is this a thing still? I have a very difficult time accepting violence by men on women in those situations.
I have trouble accepting rape in general as a plot device, like a character path or arc. Like I'm bored at that. I'm also bored with like somebody destroying a man's family for him to be like, I have to like take vengeance. I'm bored to tears of that kind of story.
Yeah, agreed. So, again, fantastic performances.
Absolutely.
Amazing folks that were in this
coloration
film.
There were some scenes that I mean, like I jokingly said giallo earlier, but like I'm kind of like my brain's like flipping through the Rolodex of the film. There's so many scenes that had these beautiful like colorations, like choices of color that were very smart, like some very cool blues in one scene where she's kind of addressing her like her feelings, and like everything that's shown in the coffee shop seems to have a kind of a dreaminess to it, and like a light. But
it's very white.
And it's very light and happy.
It's very well lit. Yeah, it's
and
happy.
Like
it's a little sterile.
Character is very like warm and inviting, and like so there are these moments of like that are just poetry and on camera, but.
And I don't mean this to be...
But again, I never got to watch this film again because I was like, this is not my favorite.
Yeah. And it's, I don't know if this is an appropriate way to be able to say this in here, but in this film, Laverne Cox is also really beautiful. She's beautiful anyway, but she has a very beautiful, angelic presence in the coffee shop when she is with
I think
Carrie.
That point of her character is that she's
a safe place.
She's the only healing voice, and the only person that seems to really beyond her parents, like her parents also seem to really like, they all want the best for her, and they're trying to help her heal. And they try to like surround her with love, and but she keeps plunging herself into these really ugly places. And I think that's for me what was so painful to watch. It was just so self-destructive.
Yeah. And admittedly, I'm kind of leaning more like I'm trying to now get more into some of the aesthetic of it and a little bit more of the performance, so that we can
get off the ugliness.
We can start to taper away from the subject matter a little bit, so that we can even give ourselves a little break with any of that. Because from that technical aspect, the family house, there's like the table that's wrapped in plastic.
Everything's pink. I loved that.
Yeah, it's like parlor, a really light white pink.
It's like it's pastels.
Yes, and it is, and it's delicate.
Well, her
it's
femininity,
protected.
Her mom is a lover, and her parents are loving, and
there's symmetry. Everything has symmetry. If you notice the couches and the chairs that all had the flourishes and everything on them, everything was very symmetrical. Yeah. It was clean. When she's sitting at the table, everything behind her always has very parallel lines.
Yeah.
So everything has a structure and a delicateness and a caring place that kind of doesn't. And it stands in stark contrast to those scenes in the bar, because a lot of times when we're done at one of those scenes where she was at a bar, she was with someone, we come back to this place that has this symmetry. It has this pastel delicateness. It has these parallel lines where things seem to be a little bit more clear when you're there. And so, which is why it's so great when the mom is questioning a lot of the things in the outside world or what's happening out there, because she doesn't really keep up with it. She has this very, I guess, controlled, delicate, protective.
I like that.
Symmetrical,
must be nice.
Atmosphere. Yeah.
I would love to live in that land. That sounds great.
Well, the next time I am recording Gwen and Gretchen Watch Movies, I'm going to go through your bookcase and I'm going to rearrange all of your books so that there is a symmetry to all of it. And it will mess up whatever system you have currently in place, but I will make your bookcase feel comfortable.
Hey, I love it. I love it.
So I think we're probably at a place where we can have ourselves a release from this and start. Yeah. And thank you for watching this one and kind of
yeah.
go. I didn't mean for this to be a thing for us to go through, but to a certain degree, I'm glad that we've kind of talked about some of this stuff. With our friendship, we've had discussions of relationships and kaiju monsters and films and horror and all sorts of other things. I think by far this is one of the heavier and deeper conversations that we've ever had, and I really appreciate you for being a part of all that. But I also apologize for any emotional
Well, here's the thing.
parts that you
Movies
that
are
you
meant
had
to make
experience.
you feel things.
It's true.
And I am a passionate lover of film. And so when a film brings me to a height or to a low, I mean, it means something, and it means it's like it hits properly, and it means the message was received.
So, yeah, do you want to ease out of this one? Do you want to tell everyone about what our next episode is going to be?
Super other feel-good movie. We're going to be doing a double header of Clint Eastwood films. He directed these two, talking about the 1973 High Plains Drifter and 1985 Pale Rider. So kind of the idea being we're going to talk about a spirit of vengeance.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to be great. I have so many things to talk about in there. A little bit more uncomfortable discussions of some stuff as well with all of that. But yeah, it's Eastwood versus Eastwood in our first doubleheader.
Yes.
Awesome. Gretchen, thank you so very much. And just so that you know, for our audience and all this, I really appreciate you. I adore you a bunch and our friendship. So thanks for all of this.
Absolutely, dude.
Yeah.
Feeling mutual.
Yeah.